It's got a little circle. All right. Now, apparently, we're live. I don't know how live we are. We have a
Oh,
whole group today,
hey,
but
hi there.
today's focus is on Mr. Timothy Witherow. What should we refer to you as for the duration of this interview?
Oh, yeah, just call me Tim. That's fine.
Okay. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, you can probably tell from my accent I'm from England, but I was born in Africa. Um, I spent a lot of time in um, two big cities, actually, Birmingham and Oxford. And I was at Oxford University as a student, then a graduate, and then as a kind of part-time teacher.
Wow.
For about 14 years, actually.
Oh my God. I didn't know that.
And then
Okay.
I just decided I needed a change, and I went off to Japan, and I taught firstly at a girls' high school. Actually, I didn't know that things like girls' high school existed because in England they don't exist. So I was very surprised when I got a phone call just a month before I went to Japan that I was going to be teaching a girls' high school. But actually, it was a really, really nice, friendly place, and I worked there for 3 years. And then I went to the education center, which is where the teachers get trained. It's a fairly scary place, actually. And as there are a lot of things I can't tell you, actually.
I wish you would, though.
And then while I was there, actually, um, I got
Hey, Michelle.
a visit from the head of the office of the uh, Women's University. Said, "Would you like to come and start a research institute with Mr. Akashi, who I'd never heard of?" And I said, "Yeah." And then that's how I ended up there. And since then, I've been working with various other kind of interesting and great teachers, actually, and trying to change English education in Gunma, actually. And
We're
it's
still
been
waiting.
we're still waiting, yeah. And actually, I got two kids actually at junior high school, and it really is as bad as everyone says.
Junior high
It
school or
really,
kids?
really is terrible.
Junior high school.
I can't believe it. I thought it was just, just all lies, but everyone was right. I was wrong. And just the memorization and the kind of
Mm,
pointless things they have to do. And
hmm
so, yeah, it's a little bit tough actually. But yeah, they
All right.
seem to be surviving.
Let, let's stick a pin in that one and come back around to it for a bit. So, students, if there are any students watching, this is a bit weird for me because, hi Michelle, by the way, hi,
Oh, hi, Michelle.
welcome, welcome.
Hey.
So, a lot of times we actually eat lunch together. This group right here, and so I know a lot about Tim already, but actually that's some stuff I didn't know. I'm sure I'm going to learn more today. So it's really interesting to learn new stuff about people. Obviously, that's why we're here,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we go back to the university just really quickly. So I'm going to ask you about you know your classes, which classes you teach, how you like to teach them. Then I'm going to do some of the student questions that we have. Who's coming to Pamela? Oh my goodness gracious. It's a
Oh,
whole party in here now.
wow.
Just so you know, Michelle, we're live on YouTube, so be,
Oh,
be
okay.
careful what you
No bad
say.
language.
I'm not shy. Never have been, never
And
will be.
that's hello, Pamela. How you doing? Okay, so what classes do you teach, and why should we care?
Well, that's a good question actually. I'm teaching 3 debate classes,
Ooh,
including an advanced debate and discussion. And that class I've done live actually. It's a very small class, and I've done all sorts of different topics, including lesbian and gay issues and racism and a few health ones as usual. I've also got an IP class and a paragraph writing class. And this time I've used a lot of videos and looking for short videos and getting them to write about or talk about these videos. And I've been trying very hard to get them to uh, take control of their own learning.
yes, yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're big on that.
trying to encourage them to look for things that they're interested in themselves, because so many students think that if they just come to class and do their homework, they're going to learn the language. But after 20 years, I've learned that's not going to happen. You've got to find something which is really interesting for you and do it. So I've been trying to push them in that direction. But like all Japanese students, they're very they kind of expect the teacher to do the learning for them.
Yeah,
So I keep working on that. Actually.
that is, it's really, to me, it's very interesting to hear you say stuff like that, because it seems like it should be obvious.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, the things that I know the best are things that I engaged with and learned, like, took it upon myself to learn. Like, there's
Yeah, I find the same thing with the writing classes, that you would think they would like to write about the things they're interested in.
Yeah.
And you give them the opportunity to do that, they still just go for the kind of standard safe topics and really want to for some reason.
Yeah, I think that's what they learn. Starting at junior high school, actually, to play it safe and not make mistakes, and that's good enough. But I'm really trying to push them out of that kind of mindset, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially in language. Like, you must make those mistakes to move forward, really. Like, you have to recognize them.
Yeah, I think another thing, I've been looking at these people called polyglots, people who speak lots of languages on the internet, and seeing what their ideas are. And so many of them have mentioned that it's really important to find interesting content. A lot of the content in textbooks is very boring, actually.
It's putting it nicely.
And if the content's boring, I think you can't learn. So I've really been trying to look for good content for them.
That's hard.
And it is hard, yeah. It's got to be kind of interesting but comprehensible as well. That's a difficult combination.
Yeah, I always remember the high school English textbook here, which had a huge section about bird watching. I was kind of like, that's fascinating for whoever wrote it, but 15-year-old Japanese kids are not really interested in bird watching.
I think if you're about 80, that would be really interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Some of our friends we know here.
Oh, yes. Maybe he wrote it.
Okay, so anything else about your classes you'd like to share? Why should we take your class? Why would we? Go ahead, Michelle.
David, to clarify something he said. David, you said in response to something Tim said, you've got to experience the mistakes to get through it. Were you talking about the students experiencing the mistakes, or the teachers, or both?
Oh, I think both, for sure.
All right.
Primarily the students, but I do think it's healthy for the students to see that that you make those same mistakes often. That you're not infallible yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Just I think one of my kind of teaching style I developed is I do a lot of work before the class and after the class, but actually during the class they do the work.
Yes, I'm with you on
and
that.
I think this is quite important. Actually, we got an email, didn't we, from Mr. Kamiyama, who said that a lot of students complained they hadn't got any feedback.
Yes.
And if you come to my class, you get a lot of feedback.
More than you want.
Probably more than you want, actually. But I think that's so important. And to engage with the content, what they're writing about, rather than just their mistakes. So I give a lot of feedback to what they're writing about. And of course with Google, it's great because doing the corrections is so easy now, and it's usually right.
Yeah.
But I give a lot of feedback, and I spend a lot of time looking for really interesting topics. And this term I haven't used a textbook at all for any class. Which, I'm afraid. So
guilty.
So maybe there'll be complaints.
I know. But I mean, how you can't? That's the thing. Like, I know perhaps this is a bit off topic, but how do you use a textbook online? It's pretty tough, and it just seems like a waste of your the limited time you have in class.
And there's so much great stuff out there now if you can spend a bit of time looking for it. And I really hope that students will actually look at some of this stuff themselves in their own time, rather than just doing it because they have to. So, that's what I've been trying to do anyway.
So, just really quickly, Kieko Kamada's in the chat. Just so you know, you can say hi to her. If you'd
Oh
like.
yeah, hi Keiko.
and also, Yuno's here too. Or,
Okay,
she
right.
was.
Oh,
She was here last time too. Actually, we're getting a very
Regular.
small, following. Pamela, are you actually there? She's muted and can't see. All right. Well, all right. It's all right. Hi, Pamela. Anyways, okay. All right. And so that is that pretty much covers that, I guess. Do you guys have any other questions? No.
Well, and when you say you spend a lot of time before and after, so preparing and then evaluating afterwards, giving them feedback after class.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mark them at all, actually. I don't give any kind of marks, but I give them a lot of feedback mostly about the content of what they've been writing about. And actually, for the paragraph writing, for some of the paragraphs, I've actually written a paragraph myself for them, because
to show them as a model.
As a model, yeah. And I can see that they're using some of that language in their own paragraphs, which is I think that's good.
Yeah,
you have to, don't you? If you work with what's in the textbooks,
yeah, it's just so terrible. Yeah, I agree.
You're going to have 15 sleeping students.
But Tim, you're not using the Witherow Sensei. Students are watching.
Sorry.
And it's live.
We got permission to call him Tim earlier on.
Who knew?
If you're not using textbooks, that sounds great. I've been recording things, the audio scripts for the listening class, and posting the links, and all these extra steps that if I'm in the classroom, I just pop it in the CD player and play it. But that represents a lot of time and a lot of technology. At first I put it on YouTube, and then I realized I don't need to put it on YouTube. I can just record it as a file and send the link. I'm not tech savvy, so I've been learning a couple of things at once, in addition to the regular teaching. I'm learning all this tech stuff, but there have been times in the classes in the other department where we could choose our own textbooks, and it's a little more loose about textbook use. I have been freer. And it's nice because I am engaging with the students in the content and the discussions and kind of letting things go where they go and being in touch with where they're at right now. This is a new experience for all of us. And I don't know how they're feeling and what they're thinking and if they're learning and what's working. But I thought that we really were encouraged to do the textbook use in our department. So I've been sticking to it as best I can. So my question for you is, can I ask what you've been doing instead of the textbook?
Well, I use a lot. I write a lot of my own material if it's for writing class.
Yeah, again, this guy.
And I look at there's a lot on YouTube. I'm looking for these very short videos, maybe 5 minutes or under, and use that as a way to stimulate them and get some kind of discussion going. Because I often find
a YouTube link for a video.
Sorry?
A YouTube link for a video for them to watch.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because I find often the students lack a bit of knowledge about a lot of things actually. So they've gone through this system, which is like a giant quiz show. So they know very little. So just giving them that little 5-minute video on a topic will that gives them something to work with. So I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, I've been doing the same thing because if they can see it instead of just reading black text on a white background in a foreign language, they can see what is being talked about. It makes it much more interesting to them.
Right, yeah, and I've done that also for the IP class. Showing them a video and getting them to talk in groups about it. And again, that gives them some real content to talk about. So, that's been quite good.
Would you say that's because the IP textbook is maybe not as good as it could be?
Well, yeah,
Don't
I just
make
think
me
a
mute you.
textbook writing is a kind of weird idea, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we need to dump it, actually. I think it's...
Yeah, 4 Skills book is not right for that class for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, we probably shouldn't say that. I didn't say that. I'll edit it out.
Well, it's just that the actual kind of things like the grammar or writing or whatever that are in that textbook are actually a much lower level than they're doing in their grammar or
That's
writing.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Kind of redundant.
As I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I just think the payoff from teaching grammar is so small, actually so bad that I don't think there's much point to doing it. So I don't touch the grammar at all, actually, in that book, certainly.
Yeah, certainly an IP. So I want to get these student questions out of the way before we run,
Sure,
just
yeah.
because it seems like we're going to go long. So the first one I'm going to read here is, I'm sure this girl must be in your class because she commented specifically. This is from Suzuka, and she said, this is a direct quote. Okay, so don't don't hold it against me. I'd like to know about Timothy Witherow Sensei, especially his thoughts about stuff related to health, because it seems like he's very interested in that kind of things, like eating, exercising, and my favorite phrase, and so on.
And so on, all right, yeah.
So, who knew? I didn't know, like, that would be
Really?
such a popular topic. That's not the only person that asked me about it.
Yeah, it's something I got interested in a few years ago, actually, for lots of reasons. Just this feeling that everybody is getting fatter and sicker, actually.
Yeah.
In countries which have got lots of money and plenty of food and a good health service, basically, and you're wondering what was causing this. And then I came across this really great website called nutritionfacts.org, in which the guy who runs it just looks at the research on the connection between food and health and explains all this. And it's been an absolute revelation to me. And I learned that all the things I thought were true were actually not true at all. Things like drink milk give you strong bones, and you need to eat meat to get muscle and all this kind of stuff. So it's been a great process of teaching myself. And again, that's some kind of interesting content for to pass on to students, because although at their age they're pretty healthy, or they should be pretty healthy, they do have problems with their health, and problems worrying about their weight and all sorts of things, or maybe got acne or.
Well, it's an important time also to kind of reinforce healthy habits. I think in your 20s.
That's right, because a lot of these diseases, which are really plaguing all of us, are very slow-acting diseases, and they don't suddenly grab you, but gradually they kind of eat away at your body. So I think, as you said, particularly something like breast cancer, which can start at this age or even earlier. It's good to be thinking about the tremendous effect that what you eat has on on your body and your health. And I think we're all suffering from a kind of food addiction, and we've been made addicted by these wretched companies. And I think because of evolution, it's really hard for us to to walk past the ice cream and go for the broccoli.
yeah, it's in your DNA, isn't it?
So yeah, I think we're hardwired to go for this high calorie stuff and eat as much as but that's because that was the right thing to do for most of our evolution. Sure. But now our environment's completely changed, and we really are like ants in the sugar bowls. They say we're stuck in there, we can't get out. So yeah, that's the kind of the background.
So your ideal diet, what do you think?
Well, I think these days? I try to make it very simple, and I think the good foods to eat are the whole plant foods. Things like greens and beans and mushrooms and onions and fruit, all these kind of things which humans have been eating for centuries. And things to either reduce or cut down or anything from an animal, basically, meat, fish, eggs, milk, anything like this, I think you keep that as low as possible. So I think that's the basic philosophy. And if you look at populations which eat like this, mainly eating plant foods, they don't have the kind of diseases that we have. And I think the mechanisms are now becoming very clear about this. Oil as well, I think probably added oil is something to avoid as well. There's lots of research now that it's damaging the inner lining of our blood vessels, the endothelium. So I think that's a good thing to avoid, actually, if you can.
I'm sure you know about Okinawa. They're the healthiest people in the world, right? I mean,
Yeah,
hyperbole.
yeah,
They've
and
got
when they were healthy, they were eating, I think 70% of their calories were coming from sweet potatoes.
okay.
Now they've changed their diet to the American diet, and they're pretty sick now.
Right.
Spam.
And
Do you ever cheat? Do you ever eat ice cream or anything like that?
I ate some ice cream from Kamamura Tofu, which is a soy-based ice cream,
Okay, yeah.
and that's really delicious, actually. I think that's not.
That'd be all the sugar in.
But I wouldn't eat a kind of ice cream from cow any longer. Milk. I think we really should avoid milk, actually.
That's more to do with the meat than the chemicals that are introduced into this.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're right, actually. That animals. Well, cows eat grass mainly. So if there's pollution in the environment, they're kind of concentrating all that pollution, and particularly in the fat. And I think that's even more true with fish. Now, if you're eating something like tuna, all the kind of pollution which is in the sea is being concentrated.
Well, not just those chemicals, but they add, like if you go and buy a carton of ice cream,
Yeah.
You look at the ingredients and it's a lot of stuff in there that we don't know what it is. But
Well, that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of kind of junk added to these foods to make them super delicious for us
and last a long time.
And last a long time. Yeah.
Okay, so the second part of her question is regarding exercise. So what kind of things do you think, I mean, for yourself, just for yourself, how do you stay in shape?
I walk a lot. Even in this heat, I can do 10,000 or 20,000 steps every day. And that's not for weight. That's just for kind of general health, actually, mental and physical health, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to break up your sitting time and get out of the house. Use your body, because we've been told that we need protein for muscle, but actually you're going to get muscle by using your muscle. We need vitamin D as well, actually, a little bit of vitamin D. So getting out in the sun, for not too long is a good thing as well. So, and also I started doing a little kind of workout, which is supposed to generate lots of nitric oxide, and that's some kind of squats and various things like that. And I do that maybe twice or three times a day.
Okay.
So I don't kind of go to a gym or do any kind of really hard exercise, but I just try and make sure I'm moving.
Yeah,
And actually,
that's important.
during the day, I try and make sure I'm not sitting for more than 15 or 20 minutes.
Well, that's the thing that I really don't like about this online classes thing. It's horrible. Having to sit. I used to walk around the class basically nonstop. I'm sure to the annoyance of the students, but I just I never stopped moving. I never sat down and never stopped moving.
That's interesting what you were saying, Tim, about not going to a gym, because I'm kind of the same. My big thing for exercise is cycling.
Yeah.
And I think it's similar to, what you were saying about students finding things they're interested in to write about and so on.
Yeah.
Gym, there I am saying and so on. I think gyms are such kind of depressing, miserable places that's kind of what puts people off, because they think that's the only way they can exercise is by going to a gym.
Yeah.
And it's much better to get outside and do something kind of purposeful.
I think it could make a good supplement though, like in bad weather, like if it's the,
Yeah.
rainy season, or if it's like on a day that's like just really hot, you might not be able to find that motivation to go for a walk in the rain, if you don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people think if I go to the gym, then I don't need to worry about what I do in the other days. I can spend, 14 hours a day sitting in front of the computer screen. But at the weekend, I go and work out at the gym, and that's enough. And I'm afraid, that's not going to do it. You're
Weekend warrior.
a weekend warrior. Yeah, you're still going to, kind of suffer for what you do most of the time. That's sitting.
It kind of makes sense.
Sitting is an absolute disaster for human beings. And, it really does, promote, diabetes and high blood pressure and all these diseases we're plagued by now. So, and as Dermot says, it's so much nicer to be outside. I walk along there's a cycling path near my house, and I just walk along there, and I can see the river and the trees, and it's such a nice thing to do, actually. So
yeah, I'm always ringing my bell at people like you.
So students, if you want to see Mr. Witherow, just go outside. He's outside somewhere walking around.
Yeah, maybe at night, actually, recently.
Certainly cooler, yeah.
So when it cools down. And
okay, one more question. This is a blast from the past. So Satomi Kanaya.
I remember her.
Yeah, right. She said she's a graduate of 2013. She still remembers all the GPWU teachers clearly. And she says, very interesting to learn about the histories of the teachers such as Mr. Witherow. And she wants to know what brought you to Kenjo. And this is a funny one. What do you research? Because we really do. Like, no. The things we do research, but people don't. Most of us don't publish anything. So what do you have to say for yourself?
Defend my research.
Yes.
Well, yes, as I said earlier on, I came to Kenjo because the head of the office, the Kenjo, came to where I was working, the education center, and said, we want to start this research institute to improve English teaching. Would you like to be the member there?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, by the way, because now I have a job. But also, why did you say yes?
It seemed like a really interesting, chance, actually. And around that time, around 2000, there were lots of things happening in Japan about English education.
Yeah,
and there really was a big push to improve things. And so I thought, oh yeah, that's going to be part of this. And it seemed like a really great opportunity. But when I got to Kenjo, there's a lot of resistance against me teaching because I didn't have my research publications and things like this. So they're quite frosty years, actually, to start with. And one of the things we did is to start a kind of eikaiwa salon, and that was very, very popular. And then sometimes teachers would ask me to help their students, and so gradually they kind of thawed a bit, actually. But it was very, very frosty to start with because.
What do you mean frosty?
The university teachers didn't want any change. And they had a rather nice life. They were teaching very few classes, maybe 2 or 3 classes. They weren't doing any research, actually, as well. And I remember one meeting with the governor, and he got very angry. And he said, look, either they change, we're going to close the whole university, or we'll close the racing, the horse racing, or this university. So he was very, very strong that this university should improve. Yeah. And certainly in the English,
should be everyone's goal, though. Why is it not, why would it not be?
But when students graduated from after 4 years, their English skills were lower than when they entered. And that was a very big,
It's a pretty big red flag, I think.
problem, sign that something wrong was happening. So,
Goodness gracious.
and when I got there, I found these students were pretty good actually.
Indeed.
They just weren't allowed ever to use English or.
So I just want to reiterate, this was like 20 years ago, right? It's not,
Yeah,
it's not.
And, it seemed like this great chance to do something about it. Research. Well, my research interests. I'm very interested in vocabulary actually, and what else? I'm interested in content. Finding good content. Again, during the lockdown, I spent quite a lot of time looking at Stephen Krashen, who turns out to be this really funny, great guy actually. And he has this idea that we learn through getting input that's interesting to us or compelling, he says, and it's comprehensible. So I think that's a really interesting idea. And teaching things like direct teaching of grammar and things like this is very, very ineffective. And certainly that's what I've found. So yeah. So if you're interested in my research publications, you can look online and you'll find a few.
Yes, that's true. Actually, you can also probably.
Our research is actually trying things and
in the classroom, actually in the
classroom. I think that's really much more valuable than a lot of research, which is written and never read by anybody.
Or if you'd really like, you can listen to Mr. McSweeney read the numbers 1 to 50 over and over again.
Yeah, which he did in one take.
Yes, I did. I was in the room. I was trying to make him laugh, but he wouldn't laugh.
It's like Pamela is trying to get on. She says it's telling me to use Safari. I told her try Chrome. That's what I'm on. Yeah,
it should be Chrome if possible. I mean, it may work in Safari. I don't know. I'm not a Mac guy. So that will be an interesting segue because now you're Mr. Tim. I feel like you are one of the people who has now been kind of dragged into the modern world because you I wouldn't say you kind of shun technology, but it's something you're just not interested at all. Yeah. And a lot of teachers are struggling with this now. I mean, as well as students. So I don't know. How do you feel about this experience? Is it all bad? Is there something that you liked about it? You'd like to maybe continue forward with, or just want to try?
I really found Google Classroom is a great thing. To organize work. You can see who's handing stuff in. You don't need to kind of make copies for anybody. That kind of practical thing. It's very neat and it's easy to get feedback and. Students can contact you through the email because it's all kind of connected. So, I mean, that's kind of good and bad actually, because you can get all sorts of mail. As I think you said, Dave, that it's like you're never off work. People are always sending stuff to you. Some of them, because of their age, they're doing things late at night or asking you questions or. They've got problems with the technology actually, and they're asking me to try and help them. So. It does. You can't ever kind of shut off like in a normal job actually.
Yeah, I'm always surprised. Well, I don't. Surprised isn't the right word, but it's disappointing to see students not getting the training they need, like in the lower grades particularly. And I mean that's a failure of our of teachers really, of not recognizing how valuable it is. But also, they also have to realize that a lot of teachers are older, and they, they didn't learn it themselves. So, how do you stop this cycle? Really, it's pretty hard. It's a pretty hard situation to get stuck in. Right. I mean, I've talked to so many, as you all know, I've talked to so many teachers who had technical problems, and where do you begin?
That's right. Yeah.
I think you're talking about Google. I would love us to go back to. I would love us to continue using that after we go back to face, if we ever do.
Technology.
And who are you talking to, Michelle? Sorry.
You go back to using tech.
Oh no, sorry. I want to keep using Google Classroom to organize everything after.
Yeah, by the way, Dermot's the one who told me about this thing today. I don't know why I didn't get a notice. We had lunch and he was saying that, and we were both agreeing Google Classrooms is great.
Yeah.
Organizing their things in a folder. I used to walk around with heavy bags full of folders with all their assignments. Who's that?
Yes, yes.
Who are you pointing to?
Deborah.
Oh, Deborah. Oh, my goodness. I know. It just had always having all these folders with their assignments. Now they're all in the, I mean, organizational wise, it's just great.
Although Mr. Meyer does worry that a solar flare will knock all that out of existence. So it's good
Yeah.
to keep things
Well,
written
he's got to
down.
have something to worry about, doesn't he? He's in it now that he's in his safe bubble. Yeah. Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh, nothing. Oh, something that I discovered, in fact, well, Dermot, what was it? At lunch, you were saying, I wanted to ask David, but we should get to the students' questions. But there was something that you said you did that, using Google, using Zoom on our university account. I was using it on my private account, so I had the 40-minute time limit. It seems like there's something I need to do to set it up with my university account. Anyway, unlimited would be nice rather than 40 minutes limit.
It seems to be unlimited with the university account.
It depends on. I mean, we have to be careful here because, like, we don't know. Like, if someone plays this back later, it may no longer be true, right? So, but yeah, initially, like for now, because of the the global pandemic, yeah, you could have signed up with your university account, and you have to. There's a checkbox you have to check that just says you're a teacher. I can't remember the exact statement, but you have to click it, and then you could then you could have your unlimited time. Just FYI. But we don't know. It may go away anytime, and that functionality is already existing in other platforms. So also, Michelle, sorry, I'm doing like 3 things here. So said. So she said, "Is that Michelle?" I said, "Yes, that's Michelle." And this is what she said: "Aw, I always loved her style." And then she put a little dress up, so she likes your style. And now she also says she wishes she could start over her university classes, and I know the feeling. And she now really understands how worthy, how much value it had.
Yeah.
Great. I think a lot of people experience that because you just. Particularly as most students are just trying to survive, they're just trying to get through it, and then later like, oh gosh, that could have been better, really. But okay, anything else here? Let's see, what time do we got?
Is Yuno on right now?
She is on. Well, she was as of a couple of minutes ago. Yes.
Hi, Yuno.
So we're yeah. Hi.
By the way, I get that in my student evaluations all the time. Not to say anything, but that's always in every class. I love the students' passion, and I'm supposed to respond to these student evaluations like, nice shout out to the clothes, but how about the class and the content?
Yeah, Professor Steele is a very snappy dresser.
Yeah. Art.
Evaluation responses? I don't know, but I appreciate that's nice of her to say.
So, we're coming up on 45 minutes here. We could go over, I don't mind. But so do you have any, Mr. Witherow, Tim, do you have any advice you want to give to students who are studying at university?
Well, I think particularly in Japan, being at university is such a special time because you've got some free time. So I really, it's good to try and get these kind of experiences, which, whether it's going abroad or doing voluntary work or doing something, because I really feel it's through doing these things that you learn who you are. Because in your 20s, you're kind of inventing yourself. And if you don't have those experiences, you won't be able to invent yourself. So I think, I really feel that Japanese people have so little time and unstructured time And it's these times which, you can invent yourself. For me, the most important times that when I was a student were just, sitting in the garden in groups of people just talking about life. And, I don't think Japanese students do that so much.
You had time to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the old days.
In the old days, yeah, things
So
were slower.
I mean, you said Japan. I feel like the whole world has lost that.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
everyone's too busy, really.
I don't know. I had a similar experience to Tim, so I guess maybe American universities are a lot stricter. But, yeah,
Oh
well,
my
we
God,
said
that dog can jump. Holy cow. Tim, my goodness. It's a little dog that can jump real high.
And I think, we're talking about, language, that students come here to learn English. But as I said before, they do depend too much, I think, on their classes.
Yeah,
And, they really need to find something outside class which they can do, whether it's watching Netflix or, find a kind of series they can really get into, or, or a podcast or something. And because you need so much time with a language to get it into your brain, and you just can't just get it just by being taught.
yeah, this set of videos, this is kind of in place of Global Cafe, and I always feel like in the last 2 or 3 years since it's been at the university campus, we're getting more and more students, but I still do feel like we should have more.
Yeah.
That's a good experience for them.
Well, that's something we can talk about moving forward.
And I think that's probably something when they're older, they will kind of regret they missed that chance.
That's exactly what Yuno said in the chat. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
go ahead.
Global Cafe is it's a kind of mid-stage between a kind of lesson and a free conversation. And when you're learning a language, it really is tough to go straight into talking to native speakers. So I think this is a good kind of midpoint they can get a bit of experience and a practice to build up these skills, particularly listening skills, which Japanese students are very weak at listening. And if in a conversation, listening is just as important as speaking. Actually, maybe more important.
More so, yeah. Yeah. So.
Actually, you're talking to.
One thing that Tim said about they come to learn English, and yet it's more than just being in the classroom. One thing I love about our university, and especially the International Communications Department, because I've taught at a lot of universities in Japan, and I taught in the States and universities. The students, they will go on talking in the class. Like, you'll give them a topic, talk about these questions, and at some places or in some departments, they'll get to the end of it, and you walk around. By the time you get to their side of the room, they'll look up at you and say, "We're finished." Like, badge of honor, we're finished. Well, you can
that's right.
Yeah.
It's not a race to see who's finished, but in our department at Kenjo, students will create their own questions based on the topic. They realize that other students are still talking, so they'll try to keep going too. They're doing it. They know why they're there. They want to improve their English, and I just think that really makes all the difference in the world to their learning, and then to me as a teacher, because I can't be in every spot in the room saying, keep it going. They do it on their own, and I really appreciate that.
So that's a good message to prospective students as well. Like, if you, like, students at our university are pretty highly motivated to learn what they set out to learn. Yeah, for sure. And one of the reasons why, Natsumi Adachi, the reason why I asked her to do the first episode is because she's such a great example of finding something outside the classroom. And, where you could, I wish, as I think you mentioned this, I wish we had video, from where she started and, and now, like, I wish we could have tracked that progress. And she did it by, we often eat lunch together, and she did it just by coming by every day and just saying a few sentences, and then she would leave, and then it'd be a little bit more every day. Yeah. She just kept at it.
Yeah, it's great, wasn't it?
Okay, guys. Any other things that you'd like to talk about? We're at 45 minutes now, but I'm happy to stick around for a little while.
Well, it's just you mentioned the technology, but I wonder how people feel about face to face, and because I really do think there's something lacking. I mean, even what we're doing now, I mean, it's fine, but if we were all together in the same room, it would be different.
Yes.
And I think particularly for learning, actually, that kind of physical presence of teachers and students together, I think that's really an important part of the learning, actually. I really feel I really miss that.
And then the students do as well. Now, here's something that I found interesting. I've talked to all of my students about this, and as you know, they're making this decision. Now, I don't know how much we can say about it, actually, but they're in the process of making that decision. We probably know already. Is it all right to say? I don't even know. Maybe it's probably best not to say, but you're right. There's something missing, right? And I found, so for first-year students, they cannot wait to get back to start in the classroom because they haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
And they're searching out for that connection.
Yeah.
Now my third-year students, they don't want to go back into the classroom because they've done that. They've already done that.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them, like,
That's a really interesting point, because I was talking to my first year students about this, and they said, as you said, they really want to go into the classroom.
Yes.
And I said to them, why is that? And they said, well, it's impossible to make friends this way. And I said to them, you're supposed to be the young people. Isn't this how young people make friends now? And they said, oh, it's not the same. It's not the same. So, yeah, there definitely is something missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even and they recognize that.
Yeah.
They live in the same small town as each other.
Because they're thinking about what the role of a university is now, and almost everything you can get online quite easily. So universities really need to think, what's this added thing that people are paying for? I think this kind of experience is really one of the things that you can't get online, actually.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, socialization in particular.
Yeah.
Family says a big missing something. She misses face to face.
Yeah.
By the way, can the students see us, but we can't see them, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's on.
They're watching on YouTube.
They're watching on YouTube. Yeah.
How many students are on there? Can you see?
Live. It's been going up and down. We've looks like the most number was 9 at any one time, but I don't know the total yet. We'll find out later. So Deborah just left. Her video was I think 75 people watched it, which, I mean, we're not YouTubers here. We're not trying to make a living in it.
No. But I'm glad that students are interested. And I think when more students get involved, it might help their learning experience while we are on.
Well, yes, certainly one of my goals, and I want to show them, certain aspects of, university life that are, missing right now.
Right. And to get to know the teachers for the first students.
Right.
To kind of have an experience. Oh, okay, here are the teachers at the university. Kind of more of an introduction for them.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just a name on a piece of paper, really, when they sign up for that class, or on a screen nowadays, I suppose. Yeah. But yeah, I do think we've got a really nice mix of teachers, of instructors at our school, and it's nice to see the variety too. It's nice that everyone does something a little different.
Yeah. Tim, when you talked about your kids in junior high now, both of them? Or
yeah.
Wow, so So first year and third year?
That's right, yes.
And what is their experience of being bilingual? Because my sons were bilingual in school here. And I thought it was interesting. I know, like in the case of my younger son, anytime an ALT would come and they'd call on students in English class, they would never call on him. The teacher would try to avoid him.
Yeah.
know he knew the answer, and it almost felt unfair. It's like he is a student in this class. It's not guaranteed that he's bilingual just because his mother's American, and it doesn't seem fair to exclude the students from participating in English class because you assume they already know it. Have you had any kind of issues with the English classes?
Not so much actually. I mean, they've been treated very much like ordinary students actually.
Well, what is your problem with junior high? You're just saying it's.
Well, just the lessons are so.
Yeah, what is your problem?
I mean, the teacher's just reading the textbook and the students are silent. And often, even that, maybe the teacher's difficult to understand, or they're being pushed too fast sometimes. But yeah, just kind of it's just a rather boring experience for them. And there's so much kind of testing going on.
Oh yeah, just memorization for the test.
Yeah, and it just seems to, education is about just getting these test scores. It doesn't seem to have any deeper. And I sent my children to Yotsuba, which is, as you know, is a 6-year school. And I thought, well, maybe they'll have a bit more, time to actually do some deeper learning. But that's not at all. It's just turned into a kind of cram school to try and get, lots of students into Tokyo University.
Oh God, that's really too bad.
I've worked at the tech school in a different city.
Yeah, and it's gone to the same like Chuo. I remember I was on the committee that set up Chuo, and I really worked hard to try and get some interesting lessons put into it. But it only lasted about 2 years, and then it kind of went back to being this kind of cramming school to get into these prestigious universities.
Yeah, Tim, you had basically the same job as me. You were a high school ALT at an all girls high school, and I'm sure it was probably the same for you. That you had a lot of classes where you had a bit of freedom with first and second years.
Yeah,
and then when they get into third year, they get told, "Oh, this frivolity has to stop now. No more chatting."
That's right. Yeah,
the classes get cut, and it's all like, "Let's pass the English test."
that's right. Exactly. Yeah. And they're just learning English in a completely disastrous way. Actually, I can't believe how bad it is. And there's lots of good research about better ways to learn languages. But even though the teacher's often quite young, they teach exactly the same way as this old style.
Well, I don't know what your experiences were like, but to be fair, like mine was very similar in the States too. Like when I was studying Spanish, I mean, sure, it certainly could be better, and I'm sure that there are classes that are better now. But that wasn't my experience.
Yeah, well, I agree. My French lessons were very similar, actually. It's so yeah, it's just you're right. Just about it.
Interest in the content of the French classes less useful.
Yeah,
and another thing, it does kind of irritate me that so many students have to go to Juku to understand their classes.
Oh, that's wrong.
And it's at least 2/3 of the students there are going to Juku.
Wrong.
Just to keep up with the basic, stuff. And my kids aren't going to Juku, but I think they're really disadvantaged because of that. So yeah, that's I think it's the teacher's job to teach. I mean, they shouldn't have to go to Juku to find a good teacher.
Exactly. And then they're paying extra, and it's not fair for all the students.
That's right. Yeah. And I was talking to a friend who's got a high school son, and the amount she's paying each year, she could send her son to America for a year.
Well, the other side of that is, maybe I'll have to edit this out later, but my sister-in-law, she had been sending her kids to Juku their whole life.
Yeah.
And when the daughter didn't pass, my niece, when she didn't pass the entrance exams, she was really irritated. She wanted all that money back.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, God.
Yeah.
What do you do if it doesn't work?
You don't get your money back, do you?
Yeah.
again, I mean, being a Juku teacher seems to be a pretty easy thing to get into, and we've seen from, for example, Global Cafe, we've seen some examples of people who
Differently able.
yeah, you would not expect to be teaching who work at who teach at Jukus.
Yeah.
I think, I think that's pretty sad that, as you say, that they've got these classes and they've got somebody else explaining it to them who's probably even less qualified.
Yeah. And, as a parent, some things I can teach, but, I can't really teach the maths. That's something I can't do, but it's something which, that's like the most difficult subject, really. And that's what they need most. Because, I had really bad teaching at school and, I kind of gave up maths as soon as possible. But, you can't in Japan. So this is going to be with you. And, if you get behind, it's very kind of, stressful, actually, because it all builds itself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's a kind of worldwide shortage of good maths teachers, actually.
Well, that's, you say it builds, like that's the thing. Like if you don't learn the step before, what do you do? Because it all builds on itself. So Satomi Kanai has come by. Hi, Satomi, how you doing?
Oh.
Just so you know, you guys remember we talked about this before, yeah. All right. And then I know we're really running over here. Sorry about this. Last thing I promise.
Other human beings? Are you kidding? It's just been my cat for months.
I mean, we've all been here for a while now, and you've been here for quite a while. Changes that you've seen in Japan, and where, in addition to that, where do you think we're going? Go ahead.
No, that was mine. So.
Oh crap! All right, sorry.
Come on. Great minds think alike.
All right. In your time, because you came at the during the height of the bubble or the end of the bubble, maybe, right?
During it?
Yeah, sorry.
I think it was quite a while afterwards.
No. For
Mr. Witherow.
Oh, Tim.
Well, I came in 1996, actually. That was quite a long time after the good times.
Yeah.
There was still a reasonable amount of money around, actually, to be. So I remember the mid-year conferences were fairly lavish, actually, and we used to go to Minakami and places and.
For jet.
Didn't the jet
program? Yeah.
Over in business class.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't get
that.
that.
Stopped the year before I came.
Business class.
Yeah, no, that stopped the year before I came. Like that's how long that lasted. But yeah, societal changes.
I think there's some evidence that students have got a little bit better at taking control of their lives. Actually, I think they're more active. But what really strikes me is that a lot of things haven't really changed. Things which I thought were going to change much faster are really kind of slow, and that's been a bit disappointing, actually. So I feel it's
in education, you mean, or in general? Tim, are you talking about in education?
Well, particularly in education, yeah. I think education, of course, is the most is a conservative force. I mean, it's one of its roles, actually. But
for sure.
I do feel it's really being left behind very fast, actually. And I think some students realize that if they want to learn something, they have to do it themselves. The good students, that I've got at the moment, they're already doing stuff themselves. They're looking at Netflix or reading something, or they've got friends who speak the language, so they're not waiting like the other students. So I think they're more connected to the possibilities of ways to learn outside class. Although, as I said, a lot of students just don't seem to do anything.
Do you remember that period where there's something, was it called Utori English or something?
Utori Kyoto, yeah, of course, yeah.
And then they tried different initiatives, and then Sogo something, but they tried different initiatives that never really seemed to go anywhere. But it seemed like there have been some efforts made, maybe not wholehearted.
Well,
yeah. I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
sorry, I think the problem was that it was all kind of top down.
Yeah, exactly,
And, you know,
exactly.
The teachers didn't know what to do, really.
And they weren't given any guidance either.
Yeah.
They weren't prepared for it.
Right.
But they just said, okay, we're going to study less, but better. And like, okay, how do we do that? They had no idea.
And, you know, I'm really amazed how little kind of training and help Japanese teachers have about the actual teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about, you know, for 2 weeks they go back to their old school and, you know, follow a teacher around a bit and do maybe a couple of classes. But that's not enough. I mean, and then suddenly they're thrown into this massive workload.
Yeah.
And this tremendous pressure. So, you know, I think, I do feel sorry for them, actually.
Tim, can I ask you something kind of related to that? Like 5 or 6 years ago, we were part of the elementary school education program in Tatabayashi.
Oh, yeah.
And that was because, you know, elementary school teachers were going to have to start teaching English classes.
Yeah.
A lot of them had no experience. And at that time, we were finding that, you know, because they were coming into it knowing that they had to speak English, a lot of the younger teachers were really kind of good and proactive and had pretty good English. 5, 6 years later, has that made any difference, do you think?
Well, I'd like to know, actually. I think we should follow that up.
Do some research, maybe.
We could do some research, yeah. But what surprised me at junior high school is that there's still a lot of teachers with very bad English skills, really basic skills like pronunciation, or some of them are quite confident, unfortunately. So
They got high test scores.
I don't quite know the kind of criteria that they're being, you know, selected for, but that's really surprised me, actually. Because I thought now, you know, lots of young people like our students who got really excellent English skills. I guess these people are just not interested in going into junior high schools, which I don't blame them, to be honest, because it's a very long working day, actually.
Hours, club activities.
Yeah, well, club activities, actually. Yeah, I wish they'd get rid of those, actually.
I'll bring it back to Natsumi, because the day that I saw on her face that she realized she understood more English than the high school English teacher, that was priceless to me. That was a really good day. All right, guys, we're over an hour now. I've got to go.
Yeah, thanks for doing
I'm
this.
so sorry.
Is that your house?
Pardon?
Is that your house?
This is my house, yes.
That setup you got there, it's amazing. It's like you were just waiting for this online teaching.
Oh, yes, you're preparing for years for this.
Actually, I've been to David's house. This is only one small part of it.
The smallest part, actually. This is the smallest part. Was I ready for it? I was probably more prepared than most people, but
you already had that studio set up for some reason.
I had to clean it up quite a bit, but because I'd never had a camera on before. But I'll be honest, I never thought that we would be doing online classes. So I remember, Tim, you said at the beginning that you thought that they would just cancel the semester. I thought there's no way. I just looking at the staff, how unprepared they were to do it. I was like, nah, there's no way. Not in Japan, no way. And they did it.
Yeah.
They surprised me. They keep surprising.
Yeah.
So here we are, a whole semester gone.
So how often do you have these things?
I try to do it every 2 weeks. I think I've missed one because of, other things I had to do, but I'm trying to do every 2 weeks. Would you like to do the next one?
I don't think I'm ready because this is my first one, but
you can do worse.
You've got no one lined up right now?
I have some ideas, but anytime you'd like to come by, it's fine with me. I'm sure people would enjoy it.
Yeah, so far you've had students, and then Tim's the first teacher?
Tim is the second teacher. I wanted to do Deborah first for creative reasons.
Oh, Deborah was here?
Deborah was the first one. Yeah, that's one episode past. Yeah.
You could put it to a public vote.
I did. They
vote.
Yeah, Tim won. Tim won the vote.
What did she talk about?
Deborah, translation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's her thing. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is you guys stick around just for a second. I'm gonna end the stream here.